the crawl space beneath Elm Street. If you're listening to this right now, late at night, dark room, headphones on, do not move your eyes off your screen. Just listen, without making a sound, without shifting your weight in your chair or on your bed. I want you to pay attention to the silence around you. Listen to the hum of your refrigerator. Listen to the faint hiss of your air conditioner. Listen to the small, barely audible pops of the floorboards as your building settles into the foundation. You think those sounds are just architecture. You think wood and concrete expand and contract with the temperature. You tell yourself that every bump in the night is just a house breathing. 2 years ago, I believed that too. I believed that 4 walls, a copper lock, and a 6-digit phone passcode were enough to build an unbreakable boundary between my life and the rest of the world. My name is Elena. I was 24 years old when this began. Like millions of people in their mid-20s, I was navigating that delicate, intoxicating boundary between youth and full-fledged independence. I had spent 4 years in university living in cramped apartments with 3 roommates, dealing with sticky kitchen counters and loud weekends. So when I landed my first real corporate job as a junior graphic designer at a mid-sized marketing firm in downtown Portland, Oregon, my priority wasn't a fancy car or clothes. It was a place of my own. I found a townhouse on Elm Street, a quiet, heavily wooded suburban loop about 25 minutes outside the city center. It was part of an older residential complex built in the late 1980s. 6 townhouses joined together in a single horizontal row, clad in dark cedar siding with steep pitched roofs, deep backyards that bled directly into a protected pine forest, and long gravel driveways. Unit 4 was mine. To a single 24-year-old woman, it felt like an absolute palace. Ground floor living room and kitchen, 2 bedrooms upstairs, and a vast, dark, unfinished concrete basement. Living alone as a young woman comes with an unwritten manual. You don't think about it consciously after a while. It just runs in the background like computer software. You never walk through underground parking structures with both earbuds in. You check the back seat of your sedan with your phone flashlight before unlocking the driver's door. You leave a pair of large, muddy men's work boots on your front porch, so delivery drivers think a guy lives with you. You scan Airbnb ceilings for tiny black glass lenses hidden in smoke detectors. It's an exhausting way to exist, but it gives you an illusion of control. You tell yourself, if I follow the safety protocols, nothing bad can happen to me. What the manual doesn't tell you is what happens when someone doesn't try to break through your front door. What happens when someone uses the house itself against you? To understand how the nightmare happened, you have to understand how those 1980s Pacific Northwest townhouses were constructed. Developers back then built fast and cheap. They dug a single massive trench into the damp Oregon soil, poured 6 concrete basement slabs side by side, and built wooden frames on top. Inside my basement, right beneath the heavy wooden staircase, was a small hatch door, about 3 feet high, made of rough plywood held together by a rusty slide bolt latch. That door opened into the crawl space. It wasn't a room. It was an unpaved, 3-foot-tall subterranean trench of dirt, exposed foundation rocks, copper plumbing pipes, and electrical wiring running continuously underneath all 6 townhouses in the row. It was dark, smelled of wet clay and old insulation, and was filled with spider webs. I opened that hatch once when I moved in, shined my flashlight around for 5 seconds, felt a wave of claustrophobia, locked the slide bolt, and never opened it again. I locked the main basement door at the end of the ground floor hallway every single night before going up to bed. I made sure the brass deadbolt clicked. I checked it twice. But locking the door to your basement only works if you're the only person who holds a key to the house. And if the floor beneath your feet is solid. It was mid-October. The Pacific Northwest monsoon season had started, turning the pine forest behind my house into a dark, mist-shrouded wall of green. My friend Sarah had come over for wine. "Elena, you're becoming a recluse," she insisted, pointing her glass at me. "You go to work at 8:10 a.m., you sit at your computer all day, you drive home, you draw freelance art, you watch crime documentaries, and you sleep. You're 24. Open Tinder, just swipe for 5 minutes." I laughed, but I succumbed to the peer pressure. I re-downloaded the app. Dating in the suburban Pacific Northwest is an exercise in repetition. Half the men are outdoor enthusiasts posing with dead salmon or deer. The other half are tech bros whose entire personality revolves around craft beer and crypto. And then there was Julian. Julian's profile was surgical in its precision. Age 30, occupation, senior data analyst. Photos, well-lit, high-resolution shots of a tall man with sharp cheekbones, dark hair styled neatly, wearing dark wool trench coats, sitting in independent coffee shops reading obscure leather-bound books. Bio, data analytics by day, architectural history by night, looking for someone who appreciates quiet moments, good espresso, and deep conversation. We matched within 10 minutes. His first message wasn't a crude line or a lazy, "Hey." It was a thoughtful, well-crafted question. "I noticed the vintage Bauhaus design print hanging on the wall behind you in your third photo, Elena. Are you a fan of 1920s functionalism, or did you just like the color palette?" I was hooked. It felt intellectual. It felt safe. Over the next 48 hours, our text exchanges turned into long, fluent streams of conversation. He was articulate, polite, and insanely attentive. He remembered tiny details I mentioned in passing 3 hours earlier. But looking back now, the warning signs were already flashing in bright red LED lights. I was just too flattered to read them. Here is what you need to know about sociopaths. They don't enter your life like villains in movies. They mirror you. They observe what you lack, and they become it. The first red flag was the schedule intrusion. On Wednesday at 12:14 p.m., I received a text from Julian. "Hope your 12 p.m. quarterly design critique went smoothly. Creative directors can be brutal, but I'm sure your work stood out." I sat at my desk at the agency, staring at my phone screen. I had mentioned to him the night before that I was nervous about a meeting coming up, but I had never told him it was at 12 p.m. I had never told him my creative director was attending. When I texted back asking how he knew the time, he replied instantly, "Oh, you mentioned it in a voice note yesterday. You probably just forgot because you were stressed." I checked my voice messages. I hadn't said it, but gaslighting works by making you trust someone else's memory over your own sanity. I assumed I was just tired. The second red flag was the coincidence in underground parking level B2. On Thursday evening, I left my 11th floor office downtown and took the elevator down to the subterranean parking garage level B2. As the elevator doors opened into the cold, concrete parking structure, a man in a dark trench coat was standing right outside, holding a leather briefcase. He looked up, gasped softly, and smiled. "Elena, what a strange coincidence." It was Julian. "Julian, what are you doing here?" I asked, surprised. "I had a consultation with a corporate client on the 14th floor," he said smoothly, stepping beside me as I walked toward my gray sedan. "I had no idea your firm was in this building." He walked me all the way to my car door. He smelled strongly of sandalwood cologne and fresh rain. He was charming, made me laugh, and held my car door open for me. But as I drove out of the underground garage, a sudden knot tied itself in my stomach. My Tinder profile listed my general city area. My agency's name was on my LinkedIn, but my office building's parking garage level B2 required a private employee key card to access. How had he gotten down there? We met for our first official date on Saturday afternoon at a quiet, high-end cafe near the art district downtown. Julian was already sitting in a corner booth when I arrived. He had ordered a black espresso for himself and an oat milk latte for me, my exact preference, which I had never disclosed to him. Sitting across from him in daylight, the uncanny valley effect became undeniable. Julian was handsome, but his demeanor felt constructed, like an actor performing humanity based on a script. When he smiled, his mouth moved perfectly, but the skin around his eyes remained frozen. His blinks were unnaturally spaced out. He loved talking about human behavior, specifically how easy it was to predict people's habits using data algorithms. "People think they are unique," Julian said, swirling his espresso. "In reality, 99% of individuals follow rigid linear loops. They wake up at the same minute, take the same route, sit on the same bench, and go to sleep at the exact same hour every night. If you watch a person for 3 days, you own them." I picked up my cup, feeling a chill run down my arms. "That sounds a bit creepy, Julian." He smiled smoothly, taking a slow sip. Then came the third red flag, the geographical intimidation. "It's not creepy, it's efficiency," Julian replied softly, leaning across the table. "For instance, living in those old 1980s townhouses on Elm Street must get terribly drafty as winter approaches. Those uninsulated basement crawl spaces are notoriously damp." The air vanished from my chest. I set my coffee cup down so hard liquid spilled over the rim. "Julian, I never gave you my address. I never told you I lived on Elm Street." He didn't look flustered. He didn't stutter. He simply folded his hands together on the table, his eyes locked onto mine with terrifying calm. "Didn't you?" he whispered. "You posted a story on Instagram 3 days ago with your coffee cup on the porch railing. The oak tree pattern and the red brick driveway behind you are unique to the Elm Street townhouse complex, built in 1988. I'm a data analyst, Elena. Triangulating a location takes less than 2 minutes. I wanted to make sure you lived in a safe neighborhood." He framed it as concern, but his tone was pure dominance. He was telling me, "I know where you sleep, and there is nothing you can do about it." Every survival mechanism in my brain slammed into red alert. I grabbed my purse and stood up. "I have to go." "Elena, stay. We haven't finished our drinks," he said, his voice dropping an octave, completely dropping the polite persona. "No," I said firmly. "Do not contact me again." I turned and walked out of the cafe into the rain. As I glanced back through the glass window, Julian wasn't following me. He was sitting perfectly still, staring directly at the exit door. tapping his long index finger on the wood table in a slow, metronomic beat. Tap, tap, tap. As soon as I got into my car, I unmatched him on Tinder, blocked his phone number, and blocked his social media profiles. I thought I had cut a string. I had no idea the trap had already closed around my house. For 48 hours after blocking Julian, everything was quiet. I tried to rationalize what had happened. I told myself he was just an arrogant creep who wanted to flex his internet stalking skills. I told myself that blocking him was the end of it. Then, the micro changes began around my house. When you live alone, you become a master of your own environment. You know where every object belongs because you are the only human being who moves them. On Monday at 6:30 p.m., I walked into my bathroom after coming home from work. My hairbrush was sitting on the counter. I picked it up to brush my hair before taking a shower and stopped. The bristles were damp. The brush was cold. Resting on the marble counter right next to it was a tiny smudge of dried gray mud. My heart did a slow flip in my chest. Did I use this brush this morning? I asked myself. Did I drop it? I couldn't remember. On Wednesday at 7:15 a.m., I opened my kitchen freezer to get frozen berries for a smoothie. I always kept my ice cream tub on the top door shelf. It was now sitting on the bottom drawer, tucked behind a bag of frozen peas. On Thursday at 11:10 p.m., the smell arrived. It was a faint, sickeningly sweet scent near the heavy oak basement door at the end of the ground floor hallway. A mixture of damp concrete, wet earth, and a microscopic trace of expensive sandalwood cologne. Whenever I walked past that door, the skin on the back of my neck pulled tight, and then came the night sounds. It was always at 2:15 a.m. I would lie awake in my upstairs bedroom, staring into the darkness. The woods outside were silent, and coming from directly beneath the floorboards of my ground floor living room, scratch, drag, pause, scratch, drag, pause. It was a heavy, deliberate sound, like something dragging a weighted canvas bag through dirt beneath the house. I called my landlord, Mr. Henderson, the next morning. Mr. Henderson, there is something moving under my floorboards. I shouted into the receiver. I need an exterminator today. Elena, take a breath. Henderson replied in his raspy, elderly voice. It's late autumn. Raccoons and possums always crawl under the foundation road this time of year through the drainage vents. I'll get someone to lay traps next month. Next month? It sounds huge. It's keeping me awake every night. Put some mothballs near the basement door, kiddo. It keeps the critters away. He hung up. He didn't care. I was trapped in my own home. By Friday, sleep deprivation was destroying my cognitive abilities. I couldn't focus at work. My hands trembled while holding my graphic stylus. My eyes were bloodshot. I realized that if I wanted help, I needed absolute proof. I drove to an electronics store downtown and bought a micro Wi-Fi surveillance camera, the kind designed for home security with motion detection, 1080p infrared night vision, and live streaming directly to a smartphone app. When I got home, I spent an hour constructing a hidden camera rig. I took an old, thick hardcover graphic design textbook from my living room bookshelf. Using an X-Acto knife, I carefully hollowed out the interior pages, carved a tiny circular hole in the paper spine, and fitted the camera lens inside. I placed the book back on the shelf, angled perfectly toward the main hallway, capturing the front entrance and the heavy oak basement door. I connected the camera to my phone, enabled motion detection alerts, set the alert volume to maximum, and walked upstairs to my bedroom. I didn't undress. I kept my sweatpants, t-shirt, and socks on. I went to the kitchen, retrieved a 10-inch stainless steel chef's knife, brought it upstairs, and slid it directly beneath my pillow. I lay down in bed at 11:30 p.m. I held my phone in my hand, staring at the screen. If it's raccoons, I whispered to myself, the camera won't see anything in the hallway. I'm just paranoid. I closed my eyes, drifting into a shallow, exhausted sleep. Ping! My eyes snapped wide open. The glowing red numbers of my nightstand clock read 3:14 am. My phone screen was glowing brightly in the dark room, displaying a bold white box. Security app alert, motion detected in living room at 03:14 am. A cold wave of shock paralyzed my entire body. My chest tightened so violently I couldn't draw air into my lungs. I swiped the notification with a shaking thumb. The app screen loaded black and white infrared night vision feed. I expected to see the front door handle jiggling from an intruder outside. I was wrong. The front door was completely still. The deadbolt was fully locked. But at the far end of the hallway, the heavy oak basement door, which I had locked with the brass deadbolt at 10 p.m., was standing wide open, and crawling out from the pitch-black basement entrance on all fours came a tall man. I couldn't scream. Panic turned my vocal cords to stone. The figure slowly stood up in the center of my dark living room floor. He was wearing dark, dirt-covered cargo pants, a black thermal long-sleeve shirt coated in plaster dust and spider webs, and heavy socks with no shoes. Over his shoulder hung a black leather camera bag. In his hand, he held a DSLR camera with a massive lens. He stood in the middle of my living room, tilted his head back, and stretched his neck until I heard a clear pop through my phone speaker. Then, he turned his face directly toward my bookshelf. The infrared night vision LEDs from the hidden camera bounced off his retinas, making his eyes glow like two burning white orbs on my phone screen. It was Julian. He didn't look crazy. He didn't look angry. His face was smooth, serene, and terrifyingly calm. He walked over to my plush couch, sat down gracefully on the center cushion, closed his eyes, and leaned his head back against the fabric. He took a deep, slow inhalation of the air in my living room, savoring it, filling his lungs with my space. Then he pulled a burner smartphone from his cargo pocket and tapped the screen. 1 second later, my phone vibrated in my hand. A text message banner dropped down over the live camera stream. I like the lavender detergent you used on your couch blankets, Elena. But you really should lock the crawl space latch inside the basement. The draft gives me a sore throat. My soul left my body. He wasn't breaking into my home from the outside at night. He was already living beneath my floorboards. In horror movies, victims scream, drop their phones, or make stupid noise. In real life, pure human survival instinct takes over your nervous system. Your brain shuts down all emotional processing. I knew that if a single floorboard creaked above my bedroom floor, he would hear it. He was directly below me. I slid off my mattress without making a sound, gripping the stainless steel chef's knife in my right hand and my phone in my left, barefoot. I didn't dare go down the stairs. The stairs led straight to the hallway, where he was sitting on my couch. I crept to my second-floor bedroom window. I lifted the metal sash lock with agonizing slowness, millimeter by millimeter, making sure the metal didn't click. I slid the window frame up. Freezing October rain lashed into my face. Outside my window was the steep shingled roof of the ground floor front porch. I swung my legs over the windowsill, stepped onto the wet, slick shingles, and pulled the window closed behind me. Barefoot, slipping on the frost, I shuffled to the edge of the roof overhang. I looked down. It was a 9-foot drop to the damp front lawn. I lowered myself over the metal gutter, hung by my fingers for a fraction of a second, and let go. My feet hit the wet earth with a dull thud. Sharp pain shot up my ankles, but I didn't stop. I sprinted across the dark lawn, threw myself into my car, slammed the door, hit the central lock, jammed the key into the ignition, and floored the accelerator. Tires shrieked against the wet pavement as I sped down Elm Street, tears pouring down my face, screaming at the top of my lungs into the empty car cabin. I drove straight to the Central Police Precinct downtown, running 3 red lights, leaning on my horn at every intersection. 10 minutes later, 3 patrol cars accompanied me back to Elm Street with lights flashing. I sat in the back of a police cruiser, wrapped in a coarse yellow wool blanket, shivering uncontrollably as 6 armed officers swept my townhouse with flashlights and drawn handguns. "TCSO officers, clear," a voice shouted from inside. Detective Miller, a weary-looking detective with a gray mustache, walked out down my driveway toward the cruiser. "We swept the house, Miss Elena," Miller said softly. "There is no one inside the living area right now." "He was on the couch," I screamed, shoving my phone at him. "Look at the video. Check the basement." Miller looked at me solemnly. "You need to come inside and see this yourself." I walked back into my house, flanked by 2 officers. The basement door stood wide open. Bright portable LED floodlights illuminated the concrete stairs. We went down into the basement. In the far corner beneath the stairs, the small wooden crawl space door was hanging completely off its hinges. Its rusty bolt snapped in half. Detective Miller ducked his head and crawled into the narrow 3-foot space beneath my living room floor. I stood at the entrance, shining my phone flashlight into the dark trench. What was revealed under my floorboards was not an animal nest. It was a fully realized subterranean living quarters. In the damp Oregon dirt, Julian had laid down thick blue waterproof tarps to isolate the ground moisture. On top of the tarps rested a heavy-duty cold-weather sleeping bag, an inflatable pillow, dozens of empty gallon water jugs neatly organized in rows, power banks for charging electronics, and a battery-powered camping lantern hooked onto a copper pipe directly beneath my couch. He had installed silent computer cooling fans connected to USB batteries to circulate the air and push his body heat away from my floorboards. But that wasn't what made Detective Miller gasp. Taped to the wooden joists directly beneath my floorboards, inches from where I walked every day, were hundreds of printed high-resolution photographs. Photos of me sleeping in my bed, taken through my bedroom window from the pine forest. Photos of me drinking coffee. Photos of my car in B2 parking garage. And next to his sleeping bag was a thick black leather journal. Detective Miller put on latex gloves, opened the journal, and flipped through the handwritten pages. August 14th, subject moved into Unit 4. Verified crawl space, connectivity via Unit 1 rear drainage hatch. September 2nd, installed sound dampening foam under living room joists. Subject unaware of presence. October 10th, matched with subject on Tinder. Initiated contact profile, Julian. October 14th, entered subject's bathroom at 02:15 p.m. while she was at work. Touched hairbrush, left minimal trace. October 18th, subject blocked profile, escalating direct monitoring. He hadn't just stalked me, he had accessed the crawl space through an unsealed exterior drainage hatch behind Unit 1's garden wall. He had been living under the entire townhouse row for months, sliding beneath floorboards, entering homes when tenants were at work, and returning to his subterranean lair at night. But then, the forensic team unearthed a sealed plastic storage container buried under 4 inches of dirt near his sleeping bag. Inside that container were 3 external hard drives labeled with dates from 2018 to 2024. When state forensics decrypted those drives the following week, they found thousands of folders containing photos, videos, and personal documents belonging to 4 other young women who had previously lived in Unit 4 and adjacent units over the past 6 years. Julian wasn't a bad Tinder date. He was a seasonal urban parasite. He selected specific architectural buildings with connected crawl spaces, waited for single young women to move in, catalogued their lives, and lived beneath their feet. Julian was never caught. When federal marshals raided his downtown apartment address the next morning, they found a scrubbed unit. The lease had been paid in cash through a shell corporation. Julian was an alias. His fingerprints matched no criminal database in the country. He vanished like smoke into the Pacific Northwest fog. I broke my lease that exact morning. I packed my life into a moving truck guarded by 3 off-duty police officers, quit my job at the agency, and moved 800 miles south to Los Angeles, California. I completely transformed my life. I rented an apartment on the 15th floor of a brand new concrete high-rise building downtown. No basements, no crawl spaces, no wood foundations, pure steel and concrete. I installed 3 commercial deadbolts on my front door. I put motion sensor security cameras in every corner of my apartment. I put blackout blinds on every window. I deleted all dating apps, closed my social media accounts, and changed my legal name. I thought height would save me. I thought 15 flights of reinforced concrete placed an impossible distance between me and the dark earth. I was wrong. Last Thursday, 2 years to the day since I escaped Elm Street, I came home from my new job as a senior designer. Sitting in my locked metallic mailbox in the high-rise lobby was a plain padded brown envelope. No postage stamp. No return address. Just my new legal name written in precise, neat black ink across the front. My knees buckled right there in the lobby. I took the elevator to the 15th floor, unlocked my 3 deadbolts, locked them behind me, sat at my kitchen island with a knife in my hand, and opened the envelope. Inside was a single black metal USB flash drive. I plugged it into a burnt-up, non-Wi-Fi laptop. The drive contained a single audio file named 15th Floor Sleep Cycle, MP3 Shamiz. I plugged in my headphones and hit play. The recording was 12 minutes long. For the first 11 minutes, all you can hear is the soft rhythmic sound of a woman sleeping in a bed, breathing quietly in the dark. It was me, recorded from less than 3 feet away, while I slept in my new 15th floor bedroom 2 nights prior. But it was the final 10 seconds of the recording that severed my connection to sanity. At 11:50, the breathing in the recording stops. A quiet, familiar man's voice whispers directly into the microphone lens. Concrete floorboards are thick, Elena, but modern drywall air ducts connect every floor in the building. followed by the distinct metallic sound of an air conditioning vent grate sliding softly back into place. Right above my head, I live on the top floor of this building. There is no apartment above me, just the main building, HVAC ventilation shaft running through the drywall behind my bed. Every night now, when I turn off the lights at 2 a.m., I lie in bed and stare up at the square metal AC grate in the corner of my ceiling. And every night at 2:15 a.m., I hear the faint, soft rustle of fabric sliding through the metal ductwork right behind the wall next to my pillow. So if you're sitting alone in your room right now listening to this, turn on your lights, check your vents, and if you ever smell cheap sandalwood cologne in an empty room, don't look up, just run.